I was really optimistic that my life would now return, my body would be mine, and I can eat anything I want to eat, and I can get my life back. But my body just didn't feel the same, so that's where my identity started getting lost. I was very open to dialing up a psychiatrist. Hey, this is my journey and I think I need support. Sometimes you just don't seek out for the help before things get to a point where now you are actually compulsory put on medication. So let me ask you, if you knew it was going to turn out how it is, would you have taken yourself there? And I told her no. So what makes you think it's your fault that everything is how it is?
Hello guys, welcome to the Ideal Parenthood podcast. I'm your host, Joan Boro. On this platform, we basically invite parents to come share their parenthood journey, their good experiences, the ugly, the challenges, and everything in between. I mean, if you'd like to be featured, I'll leave my email down below and my Instagram if you'd like to use that route, and you can DM me and come share your story. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to hear your experience of how life has been as a parent. So on today's episode, we have a very lovely guest, a blogger, but I'm gonna let her introduce herself. And hey, Janet. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much.
You?
I'm very fine. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come to your podcast. We've not interacted much, but I'm so happy that you've been following my journey and that at least you invited me to share my journey in parenthood or in motherhood. So my name is Janet Jenga. I'm a corporate mom for most of my time, but I also love expressing myself through writing. So I have a blog. Sometimes I write. I'm not as consistent, but I write once in a while.
We'll link all that information below and make sure you follow her on Instagram as well, especially if you're a parent. She's very real about the topic of parenthood and giving us updates. So for a start, maybe you can tell us, you're a mom, your parenthood journey.
I'm a mom. I think I longed to become a young mom for a long time. I've always wanted to become a mom when I was still young, while I still had the energy to run after my toddler, to enter in the slides, to do all those things, the fun things with my daughter. So the journey of motherhood was interesting for me. It didn't pan out as I had imagined. I think I had imagined a fairy tale, but I got something totally interesting and different. But I'm grateful for the journey and everything that brought me and made me who I am today, because I feel motherhood has contributed a lot to the woman I am today. Yes.
So you're a mom of one girl. Maybe you can tell us the age just so that people can.
I'm a mom of one girl. She's turning 3 this year. So yes, we're in the depths of the toddler stage. So it is the 10 minutes to leave the house kind of stage, and all that, the clinginess, and also the fun times of running around and adventuring and learning new things.
Okay.
Yes.
So you became a mom when you were married, right?
I became a mom when I was married, but not officially married. It was a road to get there eventually. I think if you followed me enough, I have my speculations on marriage. But maybe that's a whole different topic. Not that I don't believe in marriage. I really, really do. It's just that I think at some time back, I would say I always wanted to wait a bit before I committed fully into marriage, it being a long-term thing. Yes, I was in love with someone, and yes, and I hoped to get married.
And you hoped to get married, but eventually it didn't work out. So were you pregnant at the time when the relationship was maybe going downhill, or had you already given birth?
So for most of my pregnancy, I had been in the relationship for quite some time. We had a lot of history, and we've been together for a long time. And for sure, it was something I was very optimistic about. So even when I got pregnant and stayed along, everything was okay until about, I think, until after motherhood, until I delivered the child. And I think the expectations I had versus the reality I got were a bit different and diverse. And it took a toll on me physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Maybe you can tell us a bit of the expectations you had.
I don't know if I can even say what expectations at this I had, but I think I imagined motherhood to be easier.
Okay.
Easier in the sense that I imagined I would like have my baby and we'd maybe stay and lay during the day, we'd chill out, we'd maybe go for walks during the day, we'd I don't know what I imagined.
Yeah.
But what I got was sleepless nights, breastfeeding struggles, trying to figure out 3-hour naps. And for one, I really love my sleep. So when you mess up my sleep, I become as cranky as I can be.
Yeah.
So I think all that changed now, plus the hormonal changes that come with the process of birth itself. All that threw me into a mess, I think mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
Then now when it came to the relationship, I didn't feel like I got the support I needed in that point in time. Yeah. So everything really felt like it was coming down on me. And that made me not meet the expectations I had for myself with my daughter. Because I really wanted to be a present mom. And because of everything that was happening, I couldn't afford to be present enough for her.
Yeah.
Because I was either trying to calm myself down or trying to fix a societal image or trying to fix my feelings or trying to find a solution to everything that I felt was coming down. Yeah. So all that, I think, is how it all ended up to where it was. Though I'm grateful for the journey itself, the journey in motherhood itself, because it taught me a lot about myself that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And also grew me as a person in terms of how I see relationships, in terms of how I see friendships, in terms of how I see life.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe you can backtrack a bit. I just want to know, did the expectations come from what you had maybe seen a relative or your friends or the media portray, or did you just have a wild dream in your head and then it didn't?
I think a lot of it was maybe what I was consuming at the time before I got pregnant. So I think I saw a lot of, let me say, quote unquote, perfect homes, or it's how society, not society, but how the media portrays motherhood as. If you look at maybe the influencers we follow, the bloggers, the Instagrammers, and etc.
Yeah.
Just how they portrayed motherhood looked to be something very ideal.
Yeah.
I think that was back in around 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
I think people are not usually vulnerable enough to share the depths or the hidden challenges of motherhood.
Yeah.
So in this case, it felt like motherhood looked so simple and so amazing, and the whole concept of family it really looked fun. Like we'll get to go out maybe on evenings for walks, or we'll, I don't know. And I think I also didn't imagine the aspects of postpartum, like what breastfeeding would look like. I thought it was just putting your kid on the boob and they feed and that's it.
Maybe you can just tell us a bit of those realities that became a shock to you, because a lot of us really might have the idea that, yeah, it's gonna be, easy breezy, but just tell us your reality. How did it come
So
about?
my reality started at pregnancy itself.
Yeah.
I don't think prior to my pregnancy, I saw someone really struggle through pregnancy in a way. Not that I hadn't seen relatives or people go through pregnancy. I had, but it didn't hit me per se that it's something that would literally stop my life for a while. So, and we'd always see influencers who are able to keep up the show even through the first trimester.
Workout,
Yeah.
all these things, yeah.
So for me, my first trimester was a bit hectic. I know there are those who've had it worse than I have. So I don't like saying it was hell on earth. Okay, it was hell on earth for me personally. But I think there could have been worse cases and there are harder cases. So that time felt very difficult for me because I'm a high performing person.
Yeah.
So during that first trimester, I couldn't work. Basically, I felt like my life had just braked and I couldn't stop. So I had all these projects I was working on and all of a sudden I couldn't even wake up in the morning. And even if I did, I couldn't push through anything to completion. It was very tough. So that was where I think emotionally I started going down. So I felt like I was a different person, or like I was in someone's body. It wasn't me anymore. I couldn't eat well. And I mean, things were just tough. And the days were so long. Oh my God. I think that was the longest year of my life. So I was hopeful maybe after the 13th week I'd get the energy that people talk about for the second trimester. And no, it just kept being the same thing. You couldn't eat anything. It felt like I lost taste buds. It just felt like a very flat pregnancy where at that point there was really nothing there was nothing fun about it in a way. Yes, I'm really grateful to get the opportunity to carry my child to term and a healthy baby, but my body just didn't feel the same. So that's where my identity started getting lost.
Okay.
So all these times, these are now 9 months where it's downhill and downhill. Fortunately for me, I had a pretty amazing delivery. I wouldn't say it was anything traumatizing as many people go through. So for me, I'm grateful for that. But I'd prepared so much for that delivery and forgot about after delivery. So I think after delivery, I was really optimistic that my life would now return, my body would be mine, and I can eat anything I want to eat, and I can get my life back. So I think in all that idea, I had forgotten that I'd have another child. So to me, having the child at that age, I thought it was eat, sleep kind of thing. So it's low maintenance. Like I don't have to do much. So even if we were to go, maybe I can take her out. We go somewhere. I eat as she sleeps or something like that. It was the idea I had. But I remember the first 2 weeks of navigating the pains of after childbirth and healing yourself and managing a baby who is sleeping on a 2-hour schedule. So I sleep for 2 hours, I wake up. And then for me, I prefer blocks of consistent sleep. So it was hard. I'm also a light sleeper. So any noise was waking me up. So if it's the 2 hours and there's a noise of turning, I'd wake up. Then at that point, my anxiety really came back full force. Anxiety is a struggle I have dealt with since teenage, I think. So, but I thought somehow I was somewhere, but when I got my daughter, the anxiety came back full force. It was so strong. And at this point, I was not even sure what to do. I was not even sure who was responsible for it.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I really didn't know what to do about the anxiety. It was just there. It was present. And I mean, it manifested in many ways. Like maybe you don't sleep that much because you're worried about the child, or you're worried that if you leave someone with your child, something will happen, or so that was where the anxiety started. So the anxiety started that, just that first week, second week, third week. And I think it was interesting because I was trying to deal with it myself, not very sure what was happening. As I'm also trying to navigate a new phase of life, which is very demanding, trying to heal yourself, trying to be present for your child, and then trying to be present as well as a partner to someone, and try to ensure that the home, you're still the mom and the wife in the house per se. So you still have to, keep up with all those society demands and all that. So that was what that looked like. Then after some time, the struggles became a bit too much to handle.
Yeah.
So...
And this is the anxiety, the fear,
Yes.
So I feel like it was very crippling. You were worried about your child every single time. Who's with her? Who... Yeah. You didn't want to leave her with anybody else. Wow.
I didn't want to leave. So that meant I had to carry my child most of the times through my journeys. So at this point, I still want to go back to work because I love doing what I do. Like I love engaging my mind in that way. So I still felt that was an important part. So we're now trying to navigate being a mom and not being able to leave your child, and you still want to do your own work. You still want your own time.
Yeah.
And it is at that point then that mom guilt starts to creep on you.
Yeah.
So you start feeling like you have to choose between your job and your child, or you have to choose between yourself and your family. And I think for a long time, I grew up thinking that this whole concept of parenting or family life per se is sacrifice. Like it meant I sacrifice who I am as a person if I am to be happy in maybe family life. And so having to practice that now was also eating me up because that's not my personality.
Yeah.
I still want to have time for myself. I still want to treat myself because that's who I am. And now trying to think of it as, you leave your child to go even for a 2-hour walk, and you feel the guilt has started already eating on you. And in a way, some form of anxiety of some sort.
Okay.
So I think all that now coming to battle with what I felt were some triggers that were coming from the relationship I was in at the time. And so it got to a point when it was really hard and I knew it was really bad. So I think at some point I had to first step away from my house for a minute. And I went back home first because I went with my child and I needed some time to breathe and figure out what was happening. So I remember this time I went and I think I was so stressed. I hadn't slept, I think, for a couple of nights of some sort. So I didn't even have milk for my kid was still breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have milk.
So the stress made your milk supply deplete completely.
Kabisa. And I was one with excess milk. Like right from, I wouldn't say I struggled with supply. But that particular day, I didn't have any supply at all. Like I had to force it. And that made me more stressed.
Yeah.
Instead of now, being relaxed so that you try and see whether the body will readjust. But yes. Then something I think most of us either know or we don't know is that when as a mom you're stressed, you kind of pass on that cortisol to your child. So it was hectic. My kid was just crying. So she was just crying. I didn't have milk and I was feeling so helpless. And I think at that point is when I decided maybe I need help.
Yeah.
So I'm very open with mental health because I don't think it's anything anyone should be ashamed to talk about anyway.
Yeah.
It's a condition like any other. So personally for me, because I've seen and I've been with people who've gone through the journey of mental health, I was very open to dialing up a psychiatrist and telling her, hey, this is my journey and I think I need support medically.
So you actually braved yourself up and just called. You didn't even like go to your parents first. You just called up a psychiatrist. Oh wow, that's amazing.
I did. I've been through. I've really seen people struggle with mental health, and I wonder why. Sometimes you just don't seek out for the help because before things get to a point where now you are actually compulsory put on medication because of something. So for me, I just knew I needed help. I knew it was temporary because I knew I'd be able to work my way through normalcy.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, I needed help because if I continued with no sleep, I continued to feel helpless as I was feeling. It was eating up on me, and day by day I was getting weaker and weaker. So I dialed a psychiatrist and we had a conversation and I got my prescription and I got the drugs. But now I got the medicine. Now I looked at it, I was like, okay, so I'm still breastfeeding. Does it mean that I'm going to pass on this medicine
to the child?
To her?
Yeah.
And further, what has she done anyway? Yeah. Well, so I debated. Actually, I stayed with that medicine for about a day without taking it. I debated and I debated for some time. So I decided I'll take it, and then I observe what happens. So I think I took it once, twice, or until, I'm not very sure if I finished the prescription. But when I felt I was a bit stable enough, I abandoned the medication. But I'll say it's not anything I recommend to anyone, especially if it's mental health prescription, if it's depression, anxiety, whatever it is. I personally recommend that you finish your medication and you speak to your psychiatrist before you drop it. Personally, I was able to do that because I knew I had a proper support system per se.
Yeah.
So
being your parents?
Yes, being my parents, my siblings. I had a good backup plan. Yes, I had a good community. So I could afford to play a bit when it comes to myself, as I try to balance even maybe what my daughter was taking in, because I didn't want again to push that too much to my daughter.
If I may ask, had the psychiatrist assured you that the drugs wouldn't harm the baby?
Yes, they were safe for breastfeeding. Okay. Yeah. And I think there's medication. There's stigma, I think, of some sort for taking medication, I think, when you're breastfeeding, which is totally understood. But I think if you have that conversation with your doctor or psychiatrist, I think it's a hard balance. It's a tough choice, but if you feel without it you're going to hurt your child more, then yes, it's okay too. But as long as you're sure and you've been assured that it is safe for breastfeeding. Yeah, so for me, I had the assurance, but after some time I felt, my gut feeling just didn't feel like continuing.
You don't want
so
your child to.
Yeah, so I opted out, and I think I got some energy to try and sort out life now, to try and rearrange my life and see if I can hack.
Maybe, let me interrupt. How many months postpartum did you actually diagnosed with depression? Yes, PPD.
This was not even depression. This was it was postpartum anxiety.
Okay.
At first, it started as postpartum anxiety. So that was about, I think, 4 months in was when I saw a psychiatrist first. Yeah.
Okay.
So 4 months in, yeah. Then I went back to life and tried to navigate things, and my life was just emotional, very high highs, very low lows. But somehow I made it through. I began to make time for myself. It was about that time when I started a mom community. And we'd meet with other moms and we'd share challenges, and I stopped feeling kind of lonely in that journey.
Yeah.
Not that everything was working out as it should, but at least I was making time for myself and I was finding my balance and my footing in motherhood. So the only other thing that now was eating up my life was the status of how things were at home in terms of my relationship.
Okay.
So that, I think, continued for some time until a time actually when I felt like now my home was, let me say, quote unquote, not livable. It became a source of like stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of foreign feelings. So I think it got to a point where I didn't even look forward to going home. And I think all these things were bringing me down in a way.
Yeah.
But we live in that society where I mean, things like breakups or separation when a child is involved is more like taboo.
Yeah.
So it's try to maintain a social image, but deep down, you're just doing it for society. There's nothing you're doing for yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
So
and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going through that, especially people who just got pregnant with their boyfriends, and they feel like they need to stay and stick it out for the child. What gave you the courage, or what finally made you be like, I'm out? Like, this is not maybe healthy for me, it's not healthy for my child, and I need to let go of these societal standards that are ruling over my life.
So, first I'd say that a happy mom brings a happy home. So as a mom, if you're not happy and content in life, your children mirror that on you. So for me, it was realizing on the days when I'm really stressed, I was very, let me say, quote unquote, hard on my child. Like I didn't want to interact that much with her. On the tough days where I felt emotionally drained and psychologically like done, I really felt I don't want to even play with her. Like I really don't want, because I want to withdraw and sober up myself. And with time, it became now a bit, let me say, quote unquote, dangerous for me, because I began to hate life. Now it was not even about my house, my home, I just hated life. Like you wonder why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to navigate this? Why do I even have to have this day?
Why am I here?
Yeah, why am I here?
Yeah.
But I'd say a lot of why I kept going day by day was because of the support I had at home.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that support, I don't know where I'd be. Yeah, and I really don't know where I'd be, because at that point in time, you just always need one reason to keep you going. And for me, the only one reason I had to keep going was my family. Like I didn't want to feel like I'm letting them down, per se.
Yeah.
So I think at some point things got very, very tough, and I had to, again, I dialed up the psychiatrist and I was like, hey, hi, how are you doing? Yeah, last time that's how it went. So now this is how it is. And I think now this one is not even like the first one. The first one I felt like I could manage. This one, apana. This one is getting tough on me because now I told her the whole situation of I feel like I just hate everything.
Were you able to get out of bed then, or
yes,
you were going about your day as normal?
Yes. So personally, I would say even if I go through the depression and anxiety, it's the high functioning type. So you won't notice just by looking at me. You won't tell because I'm slacking at work. No, like I'll continue with life, but in the gaps that I am not working, in the gaps where I have to leave work and do something else, those are the gaps that get dangerous for me because my mind spirals and it's all sort of crazy things. So this particular time I told her, by this time I think I had stopped breastfeeding, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I stopped breastfeeding at 7 months. I don't know how to say it was mutual, but I think I tell people I sort of didn't enjoy breastfeeding, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether it's because the whole journey itself was hard, or it's because breastfeeding kept me put. And I know it's a controversial topic to talk about, and like not liking breastfeeding. Yes, I always loved, and I've always loved to feed my child. That is given. But when it comes to breastfeeding, I think I had interesting challenges that made me develop a complex relationship with it. So, yeah, and it was never because of supply. It was more of an emotional battle, by the way, because or a hormonal battle.
Yeah,
there is what breastfeeding would make me feel in terms of the hormones I produce that was throwing me a bit of balance. Like it's not anything I can explain to anyone. But yeah, but maybe I'm alone in my corner, but it didn't, but I tried to push it until where we could. And when my daughter felt it was enough, I was like, it's fine. By the way, I've made peace. Maybe we'll try with the next one. So yeah, and there was all that backlash. Why did you stop breastfeeding? You know, breastfeeding. And I'm like, yeah. What I wish I had done is I would have continued pumping. But for me, I just abandoned ship.
Was pumping easier? The process of pumping?
Yes.
Breastfeeding?
Yeah, sort of. What I hated about pumping is the process of thawing, putting it in the fridge. The maintenance of breast milk was too much. And it was something that if you mess it up, then I mean, even the child is still suffering either way. So training your nanny to remove the milk, be anticipating what time the child, and the amount of waste you have in between for pouring the feedings because the child didn't finish. Yeah, but if I knew, I would have continued pumping. But I think at that point, it's just first time motherhood, so I abandoned ship and life went on. I paid it up with buying formula. I paid my debt. I bought enough formula and I was like, never again. Yeah. So I think that time, so when I went to the psychiatrist now, I was able to, that was when it was now a depression. Now it was no longer anxiety. Now it was some sort of depression. And I remember the psychiatrist telling me, from everything you're telling me, I think you just need to check into a facility. You just have time. And so a part of my brain really felt I needed the isolation from everyone to just have time for myself. Like just felt I needed to be taken care of because I was taking care of everyone and it was becoming too much. So at this time I felt I knew I needed that. But now, now you need to go to a person. So what am I telling people? Like, I've gone to check into you. No. So anyway, I listened and I was like, okay, I get you. But to me, that just means I need to work on restoring myself back. But yes, I needed the medication. So I got medication. Now, either it's mental health medication that interferes with memory, because I feel like sometimes I lose gaps of my entire line in terms of what happened and everything. But I think after that and after the medication, this time I completed my dose and everything. And I think that's when I started therapy. Yes, that's when I started therapy. That's when I met my therapist and we started a journey together. I've never been to therapy
Before.
Yeah. It's something people talked about and I was like, oh, okay. But this time I thought maybe I'd have an outside party to talk to, because sometimes you need an independent perspective towards your life. You can have these conversations with your relatives, with your family, even with the people who love you the most. But most of the time they tend to protect you, not telling you areas where maybe you need to grow, or even tell you that you're wrong here. So for me, I needed that independent perspective. So I started on that journey of therapy. So I had my therapy sessions in and out. And I think my therapist really lifted me in that time. At that point, I tried couples therapy once or twice, but once. Then after that, I felt therapy is something that has to be driven from within.
Yeah,
you can't
just force someone.
Yes,
yeah.
You can't drag someone at come, let's do.
Yeah.
So after 3 rounds, I was like, there's no problem are there, because I think half the problems are mine, by the way. Yeah. So if I could build myself to become to grow, emotionally, mentally, how I see things, mindset, and all that, things would, shape up. And even if they don't shape up, then it would be a sign that you need to now, maybe leave or something.
Yeah.
So I continued with therapy. It was never consistent because of schedules and life, all these things as they're happening, your life is still going on. It's not you're on a template where life has stopped for you to fix yourself. So life is still going on. So it's where you find time, maybe you fit in a schedule, or when you feel like you're really going down, you fit in something.
Yeah.
So I think from the conversations we had with the therapist, she was really pushing me to be honest to myself about the relationship I was in. So I think I continued the journey of trying to, first to stop blaming myself that the relationship is failing because of me, or I'm letting down my daughter. Like, she didn't deserve this, so why would I take her through this?
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the hardest feeling. The hardest thing I had to deal with was, like, my daughter being like, by the way, I deserved a chance to grow up with my dad around. Yeah. So I battled with that for a long, long time, by the way, for some time. It was not that long, but I battled it for some time.
Yeah.
And I had to move my mindset into thinking that if the other party wanted it that way, I don't know, maybe I would put in more effort. Not that he didn't put in that effort or anything, but there was just the compatibility that was not, fixing. Yeah. It was not fixing. But I think the hardest battle that I fight even today at times is knowing that my daughter didn't do anything to deserve or be in the life that she maybe has to go through or is going through,
Oh, she's not going through.
It's true. But I think it's something we've talked about a lot in therapy.
Yeah.
And I remember the one question that shifted my perspective completely, was when the therapist asked me, so let me ask you, if you knew it was going to turn out how it is, would you have taken yourself there? And I told her no. So what makes you think it's your fault that everything is how it is? Yeah. So and then I also say that everything in life happens for a reason, or happens for good, in that maybe in her life path, now my daughter's life path, this life is supposed to make the person who she was destined to be. Yeah, so back to my psychiatrist, my medication, my therapy. We finished, but now what happens is that I felt that things were getting worse for me. So I remember a time when we had a trip. So we went for the trip, and we came back, and we were all. I mean, I've never been the person to feel sad that you have come from a vacation at Nini. Now it's back to life. But this time I felt it. Actually, after the vacation, I didn't go back to my house. I first went back home. I needed time to recalibrate. And then I remember when I was coming back to my house, I was actually crying. And I couldn't explain why or anything. Yani, the emotional burden was so hard. It was just manifesting whenever it felt like. So this was, by this time, my daughter has already turned 1 year. So we are now entering 1 and something years. So though this time I realized now I'm playing these games with the medication and anything. So I'm like, I'm going to get serious.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get serious hit me when I actually overdosed on sleeping pills, because I was not sleeping. So I decided, me today, nothing is going to stress me. So I am going to. Not recommended. Don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me now that was a sign by the way things are getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Within no time, you don't know what you'll do next, because I even began losing trust in what now I could do. So I was like, at this rate, it's getting a bit dangerous. I need to get serious.
Yeah.
So now I started, like the real journey. Now I'm not breastfeeding. Body is recovering. It's mine at this point. It's 1 year postpartum. So I'm a bit myself. So this time around, I was very committed to this journey. So when I got my medication, and it really worked for me. It was. Now I was settled. I was getting my sleep regardless of what's happening, and everything was really fine. But I knew I was completely dependent on the medication, because nothing in my environment changed. So I think with time, I had just the last trigger event, and I was like, hey, you know what? I think I love myself, and I have made peace with this. So I think I need to try first separation, so that I know I heal myself, from all the blame. Because at this point, it wasn't even because of the relationship. It was because of how much blame I was putting on myself.
Okay, as women, we need deliverance from blaming ourselves for everything.
I had blamed myself. I had done everything, and I really admire the relationship my daughter has with her dad. So I was feeling like I'm letting her down, kabisa. I was feeling like I'm failing this girl, like nimekosea, and So I struggled with that. Though by this point I was like, now this is me. I have to leave, even if it's everything aside. I need myself. So I moved out, and serenity fell on me. It felt so peaceful. It felt so peaceful. But even as we chose to separate, it was just giving each other distance. Not like I ended the relationship or anything. It was just basically I needed physical space, because through with time, I've learned how I easily, or used to, let me say now I'm better, I easily absorb people's emotions. So being with someone and, feeling like everything he's doing is your mistake, is your fault. That mental load was what was killing me. It was killing me inside. Everything I feel, maybe I'm the one who's not good enough. Maybe.
How did he take it, by the way?
Well, it was tough, but I think it was the best for both of us. And I think I didn't take time to really think how he took it, because it would have slowed me down. So in that process, it was just about me. was just about me and what will take me back to a state where I feel healthy and emotionally stable. And that's why I didn't have the energy to end the relationship because at that point I didn't even know what the problem was, because I was sure it was not him. I was sure it was just all the blame I kept putting on myself.
Yeah.
So after that after I started, it felt like I started my life again, and it was just now me and my daughter. Felt nice, but some days were hard. Now the hardest days were when she'd ask about her dad. So you're used to that routine of every evening, and then all of a sudden it's different. And you're navigating that yourself. It was a lot of emotions at the time, but I kept pushing on. I kept up with my medication, I kept up with my appointments, and I kept up with my therapy. So I kept up with what needed me to survive in that moment. So I did my therapy sessions a bit consistently, just to try and get myself back to the person I knew I was. So I continued with that, and with time, things became easier. I didn't blame myself too much. I accepted what I needed to accept. I let go of what I needed to let go. And I embraced a life that I didn't think for myself, but it's brought me so much fulfillment to date. Because I think one thing I feared, and that's why, as I said initially, I had my reservations about the institution of marriage, is to be in a relationship that is not working. Not because either of you has a problem, but because it's just not working for the both of you. The constant living together is not working for you. Maybe someone's schedule is not fitting into yours, and some things that are a bit beyond your fixing, or it's something that needs somebody to grow so that they realize. I feared being not just being in a space where I'm not happy, and I'm glad that I got the courage to live. And even as I tell my story, it's not that I encourage people to leave their relationships if they're not working. I don't. I think it's important to try your best, but also know where to draw the line. Because sometimes we feel like we are working, we are staying because of our kids. But what we don't realize is that we are slowly destroying themselves. Because for me, it didn't make sense for my daughter, especially because she's a girl, to grow up feeling or knowing that that's how she's supposed to feel as a wife or as a mom. I wanted her to know that this is the happiest thing in life. Like, it's a blessing, and it's something that should feel very natural and fun, and family should feel home. So I look at her today and I'm like, she's a very happy girl, and I normally hope that internally it's not that she's fighting something I can't see. Okay, she's young, but I really hope and that she says. But for me, the promise I try to make myself is that I would never come between her relationship with her dad. Because it's an adult battle. It's not her battle. And whatever I need to do for her to be happy and for the relationship to work, like, I'm willing to make a bearable sacrifice. I'm not saying I'll go out of my way and try to force anything. No, but if it's mutual between them, I'll always facilitate that, unless I find a reason not to. equally to help her with her identity, because I wouldn't want her to struggle with an identity crisis, like, trying to find out who am I, where did I come from, and all that thing. So in terms of her knowing her extended relatives, even from her dad's side, is something that I fully support for her, and whatever I can to ensure that she has an as normal life as possible, is something for me. I chose to commit to try and do it for her, but equally it does not interfere with my life, because that's her life, and as her caregiver, I'm going to support it, but I also have my own life that I will live and that I will be happy about. So it's the balance I strive now in maintaining, just to ensure that she's happy, and yes, and she's allowed to miss her dad, she's allowed to miss her grandparents, she's allowed. And whenever she does, I'll always ask her, do you want to have a call, what do you want? And I'll facilitate that. On the other times, I try to be the best mom I can be.
That's all you can try and be.
Yes, that's all I can try and be. And I remember the other day I was reflecting and saying that I hope at the end of it all she realizes that I did my best in the circumstances I had.
I think she will.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the journey after that has been interesting. I've grown as a person. I wouldn't say I'm a different person, but I am a different person from the person I was before motherhood began. I see things differently, and I've grown a lot, especially in relationships with people. Not just romantic relationships, but friendships and all things. I know when a relationship is draining me, and I don't try to bembeleza it.
You know how to walk away now.
I have my child, and that is enough of a relationship to to work on and to teach her all these skills. So I really don't have the space of trying to fix. So I'm very intentional about that. I've also become very intentional about friendships and being with people who we are on the same page, in the sense of the values that we talk about in life and the soft skills. It's not somebody you're forcing conversation with. It's not somebody who you feel you can just call them, hi, how are you? You're good. Okay. And somebody, I have an event, let's go. It's a low maintenance friendship of some sort, but it's functional, you talk, you chat, and
I completely understand.
So actually this has been a year that I've dedicated to intentional friendships.
Yeah. You literally, by the way, don't need a lot of friendships. You just need quality friendships that are not draining you. You just need people who are building you up.
True. So, and I'm glad, because I feel like I have good manifesting skills. I feel like I'm in a space now where I feel I'm building that community of friendships that I feel that are really lifting me up. I mean, they're friendships with people who are moms, people who are they have the same value system. They'll push you to become the best version of yourself. And if they realize that it's a mindset you have wrong, then they will pick you up and redirect you. And the people who are also very intentional with motherhood, which is an amazing thing, because intentional parenting is hard. It is hard. It is hard to try to get to the level of your child and start teaching them emotions and how to manage their emotions. It is, it is hard when you sit down with a kid and you're trying to make an activity for them, just to try and work on their fine motor skills, gross motor. We take it for granted, but it's actually, it consumes a lot of our time to think, what activity can I do for this child? How can we, But when you have people who are doing that, it becomes a norm for you. So you feel very validated, and you feel like that's how motherhood should be. So you keep going. So, and we also have time for ourselves a lot. We have telling a mom the other day, I have set it out in my calendar. This is my day, this is your day, and this is how we do it.
Posting that.
Hey, yes, I'm like, this has to be scheduled, otherwise it will pass me.
Yeah, maybe you can give a bit of advice because I've seen a lot of moms say that they lost themselves after motherhood and they don't know how to be anything else besides being a mother. They don't have any other identity outside of being a mother. Do you have maybe a word of advice for them?
Yes, I think it's very normal to lose your identity. And I don't look at it as losing your identity. I just think it's your life that changes course. Because there were the things that you were focused on before motherhood, but now when you become a mom, your first focus is motherhood. So you feel like you have to dedicate everything around motherhood, which is okay. And it's a season that passes as your child gets older. So I think instead of trying to beat the I'm lost and trying to find myself, I look at it in terms of accepting that in this season, motherhood will be your main focus, and telling yourself that's okay. Yeah. It's okay that right now I feel that the only way I can recognize myself is as a mom. Then as you grow, and as the child grows, you give yourself space and time. Like the space you have for yourself now increases. This child can now sleep longer hours, so it means you're also getting enough rest and, things like those. So in that next season, figure out whatever it is you want to work on. Yeah. So it could be you want to just have one mom friend or just two mom friends. Or it could be you want to start walking or you want to go back to the gym or you want to do something you used to do before. Then do it.
So we should stop pressuring ourselves and just take it one step at a time.
Yes, one season at a time. Motherhood is seasonal. There will be moments where your entire focus will be your child. And then there'll be another season where your child will give you some space to be yourself.
But maybe also not to get lost into motherhood. Because for maybe not all our parents, but some of our parents don't know how to be anything else besides parents, honestly. Like you leave home and they're like, Kai, like once the kids have grown up and they are left alone and they don't know what to do.
Yes. It's true. But I feel at the core of everything we are, motherhood aside and everything, you had that goal. You had that life vision for yourself. And as much as your life vision had kids and family life, I don't think that was your entire vision board. So the other things that are in that vision board, pick them up and deal with them. There are also cases of moms who prefer that in this season, I'm just going to focus on getting my kids, then I move on to the next phase. Yeah. That's also okay. Get your first, get your second, get your third, until when you feel, now I can, it's fine. I think the problem is we try to all want the same life as mothers. So you see one going on vacation and you feel even may need to go on vacation, but you don't need to. If that's not your season, like it's fine where you are. It's okay to be where you are. And the best thing you can do for yourself is accept that this is the season I'm in. So for example, like for me, I know there are times when like work gets a lot and I feel like I'm failing as a mom or I'm not being there for her as much. And I'm always intentional to tell myself it's just this season. And after this, I know I have set aside my 2-3 days where we will just be with her throughout.
Tuache kujaribu kuwa super women.
There's
everything correct. It's not possible.
A friend of mine told me something. She said, you can have everything, but not all at once. So whatever it is, you will get there and you don't need to redefine, reinvent, whatever it is. You just need to really be yourself and be in the season you are in and just slowly move out of it. Just have the vision of where you'd want your life to be and then work your way through it because it will come with a lot of emotions and challenges. Yeah.
Now, you moved out and you never looked back.
I moved out and I never looked back. Yes, I didn't look back. Oh my God, I think I enjoyed my life as it was. Not saying that I don't want family life, or that family life was not something major in terms of my life vision. It is.
Yeah.
It was, and it still is. But I think and I feel I needed to grow a lot in some of the aspects that I'm learning about myself.
Yeah.
And that has been a fun journey lately. And one thing in particular I've worked through a lot that I think I had is the aspect of codependency. So no matter what happened, even if I went back to another relationship, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Because until I heal the codependency, where it comes from, and learn how to live this life, then I don't think the vision I have for my family life will come to be.
Okay.
Because I'll always be part of the toxicity in the relationship. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think working through codependency has been a journey of its own. Learning to lean on myself, learning to support myself, learning to, build friendships, actually. Yes. And develop and, all that.
Okay.
So that's why I never looked back. I had to heal myself.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I love that you had the resilience to actually never look back, because a lot of us, and even not just in motherhood, especially in relationships, we've been like out a week and then, I miss him, let me go back. No, especially with a child, it's even so much harder, I would like to imagine, because you're like, especially you already had the guilt of, am I separating my child from having a relationship, with the dad or... But anyway, so now let's touch a bit on co-parenting. And how did you guys navigate that?
Co-parenting is an interesting topic. But I don't think I have enough experience or skill to talk about co-parenting in itself. Because the season of life I'm in right now, I just flow. I don't define the technicalities or schedule the visits, or I don't carry co-parenting as it's carried. Because yes, I know it's co-parenting, but from where I see it, I don't think I co-parent. I parent. I don't know what to, because it's not like I'm telling the other person what to do.
Yeah.
I let them be with who they want and the values they want to pass on. So for me, I just hope that, okay, we are still very young. It's been, I think, clocking almost a year now.
Yeah.
And I try not to interfere a lot, because if I start saying this, that, it now brings back now your relationship kind of feelings, So
Yeah.
I look at it, I'll parent, and then I'll watch maybe how the other parenting on the other side is done, and maybe try to, I don't know, work with my child to understand why she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's anyone who wants to teach their child to do the wrong thing. It's just that we don't know how to teach our children to do the right thing as it should be taught. As in, like, if you want a kid not to leave the things on the table, we tell them don't leave the things on the table, but we don't do it ourselves. You don't take the things to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So for me, I try to be the role model for my child and hope that she picks up what I need her to pick up.
Okay.
Yeah. So the co-parenting in terms of scheduling, the only thing is that it shouldn't interfere with my schedule.
Yeah.
Or it's something that needs to be communicated earlier so that I work it out. But co-parenting is complex, especially when you have to maybe leave your child to go out with your partner. And for somebody who struggles with anxiety, that's also something interesting and can be hectic. But it really depends on who the two of you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't talk. I don't know much
your
about
relationship is
co-parenting.
amicable as it is.
Oh, that I had to make sure, because if there's something I tell myself is that I trust myself in terms of the people who I chose in life. So as much as we were not compatible, I believe in his character and who he is as a person. So I like to ride on that and hope that it's the best my child should have been. Plus, I also look at it in terms of the person I am today would not have been had it not been the whole experience. My daughter, him, everything. So they're all a core part into who I am today. And I'm grateful for both of them in that way. But I have my life, and that was just a chapter in my life. So I move on. So yes, in terms of co-parenting, it really depends on who you are as people, how you've chosen to work things out, how which route you went, if you did the legal route, if you did. And I know there is enough about co-parenting out there. But I think for me, I just go where my heart is. Like I flow with my heart.
We will be following you on your story so that you can take us through that journey, because I've met a few people, and some have it easy as co-parents, some are struggling. So I guess it's a case-by-case basis for this co-parenting thing.
It is.
Now, as we wrap up, so the podcast is called Ideal Parenthood, not because there's one way to parent, but there's multiple ways to parent. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on what are your principles, in your opinion, not anybody else's, of ideal parenthood in your life, for your daughter, for your family. The values of anything, values, principles, something of the sort.
For me, ideal parenthood or ideal parenting is when my daughter acquires the life skills she needs to be the person she was meant to be, or to make a difference in this world. I don't want to force her into anything. I don't want to tell her that this is how life is. I want her to see it for herself, and I'll be there to guide and lead, but not make her do it. So, and also for her not to get the, let me say, quote unquote, negative traits in me, not like those things I'm trying to work on, for her not to acquire them. So, for example, if for example, I'm a people pleaser, I wouldn't want her to grow up to be a people pleaser. You get? So I have to work on that so that she doesn't pick it up from me. And equally, I have to mold her to know that it's okay not to make me happy, and it's not her responsibility to make me happy. And it's also not her responsibility to make others happy. The only responsibility she has in life is to make herself happy. And like live amicably, because sometimes people may interpret the fact that I don't have to make you happy means I be arrogant and rude to others. No, you need to be kind and respectful, like be a good human, but also like it's not your job to try and pick everyone up. So for me, that's the ideal parenthood. Just seeing somebody who I'm proud of as they grow up.
That's amazing. Just one more before we even wrap up. And I feel like it's important because you've said you've dealt with the fear, the anxiety, and even leaving your daughter. How do you navigate that? Because it's pretty scary, especially in today's world where we see kids being exposed to so much. We see kids being abused by their relatives. How do you deal with that fear? Because for me personally, that's one of my biggest fear, because I know I can't always protect them.
I think, one, you need to trust and believe that everything is going to be okay. So I think for me, that's number one. I wake up and I pray every day that, that the Lord protects her, because I'll never always be 24 hours there with her. so that she's protected even from the small falls hapo kwa nyumba, from the minor incidents. Now leave alone those major incidents we all think, from even the small minor incidents that happen. And I think to live by faith, because to be honest, we are not in control. And even for us, you don't know what happens in the next minute.
True.
So it's to live in faith, and I live in faith, and I try to tell myself every time, one, that everything will be okay, and that even if it's not okay, I will have the strength to go through whatever the situation will be. So that I don't have to now think about the situation. So I just pray for the faith that everything will be okay, and that even if it's not okay, I will have the faith and the courage and the strength to go through whatever that will call me to go through, because there's really not much we can do.
So we just pray.
Yes.
There's nothing much we really can do.
Yes, we just pray. Yeah.
So that's a wrap, I think, for us today. Thank you so much, Janet.
You're welcome.
I've really enjoyed your story, because you've actually advocated for seeking help when you need it, and not just, dying with the problems by yourself. So guys, I hope we get to a point where dealing with mental health or anxiety or, all those mental health issues is such a stigma, and instead we seek out to actually go ask for help. That's a wrap for this video, guys. I'm gonna leave Janet's Instagram and her blog. I'm still writing.
Once in a while.
And her blog, and you can go follow her journey. She's very open about her journey. And I guess you guys will see you on the next episode. Bye.